Ha 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 ha. What's going on? I was just trying to, express my laughter about the things that I ponder and contemplate and meditate on. I don't know about you, but this is Achad coming through with the Wholography YouTube channel. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm going to do is you probably just going to see a static image on the YouTube screen. Because I know some of y'all just like to, like, podcast style. You know what I'm saying? Podcast style where, you ain't got to sit here and see me as I speak, do you? I mean, I don't know if you got your headphones on or some sort of earbuds or you got on a TV or some sort of audio device where you can just let the audio do its thing and you don't need to see the video, right? Right. This is what we're going to try this, you know what I'm saying? Instead of like having like a straight podcast, we're just going to put on the YouTube. So if you haven't already, make sure you check out and purchase the book Wholography, the whole writing of the arts and sciences as one educational discipline, because most of these videos, if not all, are drawing from that book. We are now in 2024, so this would be my first YouTube video for 2024, the year of the dragon. Don't disrespect the year of the dragon. Please don't disrespect that year. Because I was born in the year of the dragon, and now it's, coming full circle. Now, we in 2024. Don't disrespect the year of the dragon. Do your very best in the year of the dragon. Be magnificent in the year of the dragon. Even if you're not born, you wasn't born in the year of the dragon, pay respects to the year of the dragon. Do your very best. Be magnificent, grandiose, colossal, epic. Do something huge for 2024. Don't disrespect the dragon. But anyway, today we're going to talk about attention to existence. Because this is something that I've been, contemplating, meditating on, laughing about. Because you got a lot of people that's trying to lead you somewhere, or teach you something, or tell you something, or bring you to this place, or tell you about this, or offer their, alleged expertise on this, and that, and this, right? But when it comes to inevitabilities such as death, yeah, we're going there. Death. Not deaf, death with the TH, not with the F. The TH, death. When you're in your casket or you're laid to rest 6 feet deep. See, that's an inevitability. You're going to make that transition. You're going to make it. Everybody does. You don't know anybody who hasn't. You know what I'm saying? You have deceased family members, I would think that you do, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not trying to evoke memories and have you, crying or being in some sort of grief. I'm just saying that this is it's inevitable that we're all going to experience that, right? But what isn't always inevitable is how we're going to experience that. How will you die? It's not going to be the same for all of us. You know what I'm saying? The age in which we go, it's not going to be the same. Where we transition or die, it's not going to be the same for all of us. You know what I'm saying? The decisions that led up to you, dying the way you die, you know what I'm saying? Not to be grim, you know what I'm saying, or gloomy or, melancholy or emo about it, but it's an inevitability. How many inevitabilities can you count on your one hand? Because a lot of things are uncertain. I mean, I just named some uncertainties about a certainty. You know what I mean? So up until the time you were born into this world and when you transition, what have you done? And how was your time spent? Because one of the things I was contemplating recently is, I'm just not really concerned about if I was a good or bad person, or if I was high in my morals and pious and righteous. I'm not worried about that, because who's my judge? So you'd have to be really adherent to that if, on a subliminal level or even on a conscious level, you think that you're going to be punished or evaluated based on your good deeds. So you can be a Christian, a Muslim, a Buddhist, or whatever of these way of life where you're being evaluated on your good deeds. So somewhere in you feel that if you haven't done some good deeds, you're probably going to go to a bad place, hell, or some sort of, dark place when you die or something like that, right? I'm no longer concerned with that. And I'm no longer fearing where I go after the inevitable happens. And that's something you get to. It's not just me saying it. It's me going through the experience and coming to the conclusion that deep down, I don't care where I go. Because actually, when you go beyond space-time continuum, you're not going anywhere physically anyway. You know what I'm saying? Those physics break down. It's just like in a dream where the physics that are the laws of this space-time dimension that you're in, the 3D world or 4D world, if you're including time, they break down. Those laws don't even follow you into the dream. You can sit here and fly. You can be anti-gravitational. You can go backwards in time in your dream. There's so many features that are open to you in a dream that aren't necessarily open to you in the physical. So all y'all that want to have these superpowers and abilities while you're in the physical, I mean, what's the point? I mean, if you can definitely defy those laws, but again, your physical body is defined by those laws. You wouldn't have a physical body if it wasn't for those laws that define physical matter in space and time. So if your mind is always beyond the physical, your mind generates the physical, right? But going back to what I'm contemplating, how was your time spent from the time you came out the womb to the time you go into the tomb? I mean, I guess there's a reason why, that rhymes. The womb and the tomb. You know what I'm saying? Because you've probably heard me talk about this before, that birth and death are opposites of each other. They're reverse operations of each other. You being born and you dying is the reverse. Reverse operation, just like 1 + 2 is 3, and then 3 - 2 = 1. That's basically birth and death as functions. So from the time you get here and the time you go, how is your time spent? And what's the noblest, and back to, the year 2024, what's the most magnificent, noblest, grandiose, most valuable thing you can do from the time you're born to the time you die? This is what I have been contemplating, ladies and gentlemen, and low lives. How's my time spent? So if you're going to sit here and do all the right things, all the pious and high morality things, you know what I'm saying? I don't think, for me, that's not a goal that I'm trying to achieve. Because I could be funny about it and absurd about it and be like, well, if that's all y'all going to do that, then let me do the opposite. Let me be highly immoral. The most evilest, darkest, destructive things that I can do. If you're trying to be the goodest, let me be the most evil. Let me be the most vicious, the nastiest, the most fucked up individual. That's a goal you can achieve. That's a goal you can strive for. You know what I'm saying? You can strive for that. And you be the top 10 illest motherfucker to ever walk the earth. That's a goal. Because it would be no different from you trying to be the most righteous and pious. Because you'd understand from that whole design that you're both. You've done moral things and you've done immoral things. And who are you trying to please here? Other people, society, the government, the social engineers of this physical space. Who are you trying to? God? Are you trying to please God? The angels? Who are you trying to please? And is it worth trying to please them? But here's the point. Because I deal with self-knowledge, right? So in that time of you trying to achieve that piety and that righteousness and that, high morale and that, you did the right thing, did you know yourself throughout that entire process of trying to do that? Did you? So you trying to be the most what's the word? Something that's a synonym for morality, high morality. You trying to have the highest piety that exists. Did you know yourself in that process though? So you was trying to be good, a goody two shoes your entire life. Like that was the achievement. But you didn't know yourself that entire time. You followed a morality construct and didn't know yourself as you followed it. So think about a little kid that is living with his grandmom or his grandparents or whatever, right? So his highest achievement or her highest achievement is trying to do what? Be good for granny. Be good for papa. But did you know who the fuck you were as you were trying to be good for them? Did your self-knowledge expand and increase as you were trying to live this high morale life? Now, going back to incarnations and reincarnations and coming here from past lives, what if for 10 lifetimes straight, you was the goodest, most righteous, heroic, you know what I'm saying? What's the word? Valiant. You know what I'm saying? You was basically a fucking Captain America throughout those 10 lifetimes. And you knew nothing of yourself in those 10 lifetimes. You only knew to be good. You didn't know your dark side. In fact, there were times during those lifetimes where your dark side took over. Or your so-called shadow, if we're talking about Jungian psychology. Or certain basic instincts and impulses. Because you didn't know yourself. You was too focused on trying to be good. And trying to be pious and trying to live up to an ideal of some sort of model citizen for the society you live in. Ignoring all the other parts of yourself that was supposed to be suppressed and pushed deep down within yourself and suppressed. So after enough pressure of you trying to put things in the trash can, so to speak, the trash can spilled over. Too much pressure. But you kept trying to achieve high righteousness and did not know yourself the whole time. So if we're talking about, again, cycles of rebirth and reincarnation, what if you're you're reincarnating each of these times because you failed to know yourself? Because of that lack of self-knowledge, you don't know where you're going. You're lost. And thinking you found yourself by, looking for high morale, looking for high piousness and high righteousness, being a good human. All the while you don't know yourself while being a good human. So if we go back to how well your time was spent, that's not a good way to spend time. Or at least that's how I see it. That's how I would like to look at it. Because you can look at this another way. Because some of y'all will definitely be like, well, if you're speaking to somebody that has no esoteric or occult knowledge, they would be definitely against me. Like those who wish to please God or please Jesus or please Muhammad or, please the deities of their African traditional religion. You see, are you getting what I'm, what I'm saying? Even for those people that want to talk about, well, time it doesn't exist. Well, we already figured out that if non-existence has to exist for you to even use the concept and the word as you speak it or try to convey some meaning about it, then that means everything has to exist, logically speaking. But it's all about, if we're dealing with space time, you chose to be born here and live as a physical body. So how was that time spent? There was some when I was studying Kemetic information or ancient Egyptian. I don't know if they made this up or not, but it was some quote that I forgot exactly where I got it from, but it was saying something like, don't waste the soul's time while living in the physical. And it stuck with me, not necessarily just because they said it, but sometimes you could get nuggets of knowledge and information in the wildest places or in the wildest instances. So what if the ancient Egyptian people never even said that, but someone put that in? But it resonated all the same. You know what I'm saying? But that's neither here nor there. It was basically saying don't waste the soul's time. So now that is starting to be more and more prominent in my life right now, where I'm like, hey, I'm not going to waste the soul's time. I'm not going to do that. But how do I stop from wasting the soul's time? How do I do that? Because for me, I think I'm wasting the soul's time. We're going to explore soul, but I'm wasting the soul's time if I'm sitting here trying to be righteous all the time or striving for goodness or striving for trying to be some ideal candidate to get into heaven. I don't care about that stuff anymore. Can you hear that in my voice? Can you hear it in my tone that I don't care for that anymore? Even if it ain't something that's directly Christian, like I said, it's still that morality that people are trying to be the highest embodiment of. But if you've been paying attention to my book, Wholography, and all the videos I'm putting out, the focus has always been self-knowledge. Know thyself. Temet, nosce, which is Latin for the same term or the same phrase, and then Gnothi, seauton, if I'm pronouncing that right, which is Greek for the same phrase, know thyself. That's my achievement. That's what I'm striving for. Because what I'm not going to do is waste my time here or not make great use of the time that I have here. To me, the great use of my time is knowing myself. Because I understand true education. Perhaps you still don't. I've been talking about it throughout all these videos. And my book. Know thyself. Self-knowledge. I have a level of self-knowledge that not even your billionaires, again, this is something that people want to achieve in this lifetime, being a millionaire or being financially free. Financial freedom, that's the buzz phrase for all these different, actions being taken to be financially, wealthy and abundant, to manifest your money. Doing all these rituals to certain deities so that you could be blessed with more cash and more money, more, more items, more physical and material things. Which again, I'm not here to say you shouldn't or that ain't something to strive for. Perhaps it is. You have your reasons. But my whole point is I have a higher and more and nobler thing to achieve, which is 100, or let's deal with geometry, 360 degrees of knowledge, self-knowledge. 360 degrees of self-knowledge with the nation of gods that earth strive for, or say that they strive for, the 5%ers, right? 360 degrees of self-knowledge. That's my highest goal. That's the only reason I came into existence. See, I know that about myself, knowing the self-knowledge. And that's really the purpose of all existent things. Or self-existent beings, for example, humans, cows, chickens, geese, roaches, ants, magical creatures that you don't even know about. Dogs, cats. Do you think these creatures ever look like they strive for self-knowledge? Because you know what they say, like, it's some sort of hierarchy, as your spirit develops or your soul develops or whatever, you start inhabiting higher life forms. For example, like in past lives, you probably was a dog or a cat. But as your self-knowledge grew, now you were ready to take on the body of a human or something like that. We don't know if that's true. That's something you would have to experience to know that for certain. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of shit I've been learning about where I'm like, I don't know that for certain. I would have to confirm that by experiencing that. I don't know if that's true or not. Because again, things are made up. Everything is made up, B. Somebody made that up. Unless you have experiential knowledge to confirm what someone is saying, we don't know if it's true or not. It's all about what authority you accept from certain individuals and people. If I look like I was a Hindu and I came out here talking, just a surface level of chakras, you probably believe everything I'm talking about. Yeah, they had a documentary about that on Netflix where this regular dude, you know what I'm saying, he didn't even know his own Hindu culture. He did a social experiment where he dressed up and acted like a Hindu guru, and he was out here changing lives because of his perception or people perceiving him as some spiritual guru or some spirit master. And it was just a social experiment. And then people found out about it, and the funny thing is, it was people who didn't even care that it was a social experiment. They still gained some value out of what he was doing. Ain't that crazy? But let's get back to the subject at hand, because the point of this whole video is talking about the attention to existence, so that I'm not wasting my time in existence. How do I best spend this time? And all the activities that I'm doing and all the actions I take and all the things I say and all the things I think about, so that I'm not wasting it. Because if you look at it, what if you're really being evaluated as an entity or as a being based on how much you know yourself? What if you keep looping back to this shit because you lack self-knowledge and you don't really know where you're going because of the lack of that self-knowledge? You lack the self-knowledge, therefore you lack the self-direction, therefore you're lost and don't know where you're going, so you keep re-looping to the same spots in each lifetime. Because if you have self-knowledge, you have self-direction. You know exactly what you are to know where you're going. A lot of people are lost, B. They lost out here. Not just lost in the physical, but lost within themselves. Because they don't know who they are. And because of the lack of self-knowledge, they take on an identity to make up for that. So now this is where we could get back into the Jungian thing, where we could start talking about ego and then generally talking about the persona. The height of most people's identity is their fabricated personas, or personae, plural for persona. So as we know it in the whole Jungian psychology thing, your persona is just this mask that you created or that was conditioned into you based on the societal conditions around you and how society is created. So in a social setting, for example, from your private setting of your home to like the public setting of a job somewhere or out in public. Because most people create their identities based on the things they have, the things that they achieve, the things that have been attributed to them from the rest of society. So, for example, because I may have significantly less money than you at the time being, you must have some more value than I do based on the societal construct we're in. Or because you have a PhD or a master's degree or even a bachelor's degree, and I just may have an associate's or just a GED, within this societal construct, that makes you more valuable than I am. Based on that construct, you have greater opportunities for a career or occupations that have a certain high salary than me just having my GED. Of course, there are exceptions to the rule, and I love that there are exceptions, but people create their whole persona, their whole identity around these achievements and these, things that they have acquired. And it's no wonder that they go through some sort of existential crisis when all that is stripped away, or it dissolves or dissipates, or it's no longer that anymore. So you was a millionaire, and then through some misfortune, you're not. But you created your whole identity around you being that millionaire. And in your pursuit of this financial freedom or this financial wealth, you did not know nothing about yourself in the process. Ain't that something? And it's not just you trying to be, the most pious individual, or you trying to be the most wealthiest individual or wealthiest individual. There's other things that people try to strive for while they're alive. Making sure your kids are well off because you didn't have the life that you wanted, so you want to make that for your kids. What if you never achieved that in this lifetime? Because now that's how you have identified yourself. You're someone who wants to strive in this lifetime. You want to strive to make sure that your children don't live the same, impoverished or fucked up life that you grew up in. That becomes a great chunk of who you are. But is that really you? Because when you don't have self-knowledge, you do strive for some sort of false identity. So what if you trying to, make sure your kids, how obsessive people are. They work 2 to 3 jobs and they do all this shit to be like, oh, I'm doing this for my kids. Are you? Because you ain't even stopped to ask if your kids even want that. You didn't even consider their decision or their preference on, what type of life they want to live. I mean, I know it's been conditioned and drilled into us that, oh, we all need to strive for being a millionaire or die trying. They even put out a 50 Cent album for you. Get rich or die trying. But is that really what they want? You never even asked them. And because that's what you strive for, you didn't even spend that much time with them. Because you spent most of your time trying to make sure that they're financially and economically well off. And all that lost time of you being with them and, spending time with them is lost because you're focused on trying to provide money to them. Just for them to do something stupid with the money when they inherit it from you. But in your mind, you think your time is well spent being a slave to these 3 jobs. So that's who you have come to identify yourself as. So now in your next lifetime, if we're talking about reincarnation, if that's true or not, you're going to keep doing the same bullshit over and over in each lifetime. Never knowing who you truly are in those processes. Never striving for self-knowledge in any of those processes. So I needed to switch my whole path up. I'm not this persona. Whatever you think I am when you watch my YouTube videos or read my book or see me posting, the absurd shit on my Instagram, whatever you see, you know what I'm saying? Whatever that is, that could just be a persona. It's a mask I could be wearing. It could be my true self in there a lot. Because another thing that some people strive for is trying to be the smartest person in the room. They want to be the most intelligent or the most advanced, the wisest. And even in that, they can still have a lack of self-knowledge. Because I talk about this in my book, Wholography, where you have the semblance of education. You have the semblance of intelligence. You have people playing the role of intellectual, but they're not really intellectual. They're not really educated. They're not really intelligent. They're playing the role as that. And for a lot of them, because they have the college degree and the honors or whatever, or the awards, that reinforces this idea that they are, in fact, intelligent, when really you're just playing the role of one. Because, again, a lot of people identify with their roles in their society. And the higher they are up that bracket of prestigious individuals, the more they're attached to that identity. Like, you have millionaires and billionaires who play the role of a philanthropist, but they're not really that. And that's just who they identify as. Don't know who they are. They don't know who they are. You can tell. They're just playing a role. That's why I say in this role of this stage play called Earth, we all have our roles to play that we play down here. Someone has to be bum or a vagrant or a hobo. Someone has to play that role. Just like someone has to be a millionaire. Someone has to be a whore. Someone has to be a nurse, a doctor, a mine worker. Someone has to. These roles have to be filled. And because we don't know who our true selves are, we come here and play those roles. Like me being an author, part of me came to play the role of an author of a book or a few books. But that's part of my persona. That's my mask here. It's not my true identity. My true identity ain't tied up in that. Because now you got to start paying attention to what self actually means. Because even in the young psychology thing, they talk about the ego and the self being two distinct things. Whereas, the ego is some sort of section of self. It's a mask that the self wears, but what is exactly the self? Well, if you've been paying attention on my Instagram, if you've seen the post that I made, I gave you an equation where I showed you that self is equal to isness. Isness is equal to ontos, as in the word ontology. Ontos is equal to existence. So existence as it is self. So the word existence and the word self are synonymous with each other. So self is just anything or all that is existent. So when you introduce an ego or persona, you are sectioning off a piece of self apart from every other thing that seemingly exists. Therefore, your body, your personality, your status, your wealth, all that is nothing in comparison to existence itself. That's not your true self. That's a persona. That's a mask. Hiding the truth that all things are self. All things exist. All things is. Ehyeh asher ehyeh. Hebrew for I am that I am. So my path in this shit is, how well do I know and experience I am? Self knowledge. So self-knowledge is the study of, is ontology. When I study self or know thyself, I know existence. If I don't know the nature of existence, I will never know self. I will never know myself as some sort of seemingly individualized, fleshy meat bag of a thing, a human. So going back to the title of this video, Attention to Existence, the more I pay attention to that self or that existence, the more I achieve the goal of 360 degrees of self-knowledge. So even in this whole occult thing or a conscious community thing where you start talking about self-deification, that still doesn't compare to 360 degrees of self-knowledge. Knowing thyself completely. Because there's a lot of people trying to be deified, and they don't even know themselves completely to even do that. So just like someone striving to be the millionaire in each of these lifetimes, is you trying to strive to be deified and you don't even know yourself. It's a distraction from self-knowledge. Again, knowledge, self-knowledge is one and the same with ontology, the study of existence. Again, the more I pay attention to existence, the more I complete and fulfill the mission of being 360 degrees of self-knowledge. I'm a fully lit bulb at that point. So as a fully lit lamp or bulb, or just like the sun in the sky, as a symbol for that, how could I ever be lost? I know exactly where I'm going. I am not misdirected by, the mask that I have chosen as my true identity, which is not. My mask and my persona will never be my true identity. I am always and forever existence itself. That's why when I look at you or address you, I can only be looking at a reflection of my own ego or reflection of my own persona. You have a persona, I have a persona. You have a mask, I have a mask. What we always have in common is that we are truly existence in the form or the state of a mask. That's the way you prefer your mask to be. This is the way I prefer my mask or my persona to be. So whatever you came here to do before you die, because a lot of people, you think everyone has, follows a path of a high magnitude goal. If you really look at it from a soul perspective, what if you're just here to, be a slave? Or you came to the earth realm to sleep. You're not here for any high knowledge at this point because you have identified as a slave. So notice this connection between what you identify as your purpose and then your direction in life. You try to identify as someone that's trying to strive for millions of dollars, then, that becomes your direction in life. That's the only thing you strive for is that wealth, that money. Or if you're here to be the most righteous, philanthropic, most giving, loving human that there ever existed, that's your direction in life. But you'll find out if that's a worthy thing to trek towards or move towards once you get to the finish line. Then you look back and say, well, was that time well spent traveling this path? What did I achieve? What did I gain? And for most humans here, they didn't gain any self-knowledge. They don't know themselves. You did all that and achieved no self-knowledge whatsoever. Not an ounce, not even an iota of self-knowledge. Because now we go back to the subject of true education. So from birth to death, you were experiencing events that drew out what you were on the inside, for lack of a better phrase. So each event was staged so that it can draw out different aspects of what you are. Were you paying attention? Virtually every human is not going to pay attention because they're distracted by the mask that they chose to identify as and the path that they took on and all the things they own and all the things that they think they're doing. Didn't strive for any real self-knowledge, didn't pay attention to the events and why they actually happened the way they did or the order that they did. See, with 360 degrees of self-knowledge, I'm not lost. With 360 degrees, meaning a complete self-knowledge, right? How could I ever be lost? I know the path. I know where I'm going. It's just like you went into a cave and then you struck the oil in the oil lamp and now your pathway is lit. It's litty. You know what I'm saying? There's litty, but then there's litty. Even your lightness is lit. So if I am an existent entity, an existent being, right? What's the highest, most or noblest, magnificent goal? What would be my great work? Achieving world peace? Becoming a billionaire? Providing for my children's children? Is that something you want to strive for? Because these things seem noble, right? There's people who want to be the baddest drug dealer that ever existed. They want to be the you know what I'm saying, they hood. They want to be a legend in their own hood. It's not like a worldly thing. They just want to be legends right there in their own space. Or you want to be the greatest basketball player, the greatest football player that ever lived. That's what you're striving for. So they want to achieve the highest goal of the mask that they chose to put on. Because, for example, you can have people that love football, and there's so many young boys out there and teenagers that want to be in the NFL. They all won't make it. And even people that make it to, or dudes that make it to the NFL, they won't be shining stars in there. Name a famous guard or tackle. What about those guys? Because it seems like the running backs and the quarterbacks and the wide receivers get the most fame and money and glory out of that football shit. But what about the guards and tackles? You know, those positions that they play where they're supposed to block the defensive side so that the running back and the quarterback can get the touchdown. So that's where I was like, I'm going to stop trying to achieve the highest level of the mask I'm wearing and just strive for 360 degrees of self-knowledge. That way I'm never lost anymore. Never lost it about anything else. I know exactly why things are happening to me. I know exactly why things are happening to other people. I know why this had to occur. I know why that had to occur. I'm not lost about the two parents that I chose to be born to and the circumstances surrounding my birth. I now know why. I'm not lost about that. Therefore, I cannot blame my mother, my father, or any other human being for the reason of the condition I'm in right now. I can't do it because I'm lit. I'm not lost about that. So imagine having all this light about what's going on, and then you see someone shrouded in darkness in their ignorance about what's happened. Like, for example, women that are blaming men for their problems. All I see is darkness of ignorance when I look over to that woman. She doesn't know what's going on. She has no idea what's happening. And it's not up to me to light her path. It's not up to me to light the path of a guy that wants to sit here and strive to be in the NFL and he never makes it. Or his dreams is shattered when he get there because perhaps he goes through an injury that doesn't allow him to ever be in the NFL ever again. So my light, my 360 degrees of light, is based on how much I know existence, how much I pay attention to existence itself. Ehyeh, asher ehyeh, I am that I am. The more I am that, the more that I'm aligned with that, the more my time is well spent. That's what I'm here to convey to you today. If you're listening to this, if you got this far in this video. Because look at the achievements. You're achieving something that's human for the most part. When you say you want this amount of money, or you want this amount of sex, or you want this, you know what I'm saying, you want this love, you want these cars, you want this educational achievement in these educational institutions with your PhDs and your master degrees. You want to be on TV. You want to be it's a lot of kids right now where their goal is to be a social influencer or a YouTuber with over 1 million subscribers. That's their goal. Something human. You can tell that people are lost. You can tell. So you're wasting the soul's time by doing something just human. You're wasting the soul's time with human goals. While I'm over here spending my time wisely with soul goals. I'm a soul focused on soul goals. You're a soul focused on human goals. Not necessarily you listening to this, but it could be you listening to this. And that's where a lot of the absurdity can come in, where it's like you're a soul, but you want to achieve human accomplishments. Like that's the high apex of your life. That's what you want to achieve. Instead of that 360 degrees of self-knowledge. But for those of you, like I said this earlier, you don't, time does not exist. Okay. You know how I feel about concepts, abstracts, and qualities and principles. So time as a principle does exist. Even if you want to say that, it doesn't exist here in the physical, it's like, well, people structure themselves. They believe in it. It has to be something existent, even if you believe in it. Or like it has to be something existent if you believe in it. Just like Jesus Christ, you may not believe in it, but it's still an existent entity. At the very least, it is a concept that people have accepted, and based on the person you're talking to, they have different conceptualizations of what that Christ is. For some, it's a real flesh and blood entity that lived thousands of years ago. For some other people, it's just a spirit. For others, if you're an alchemist, that is part of the alchemical work. It's a principle within the alchemical work. It's a spirit that people can pray to, and they can sick him on you if they want to. They can actually, just like if you know the occult well, it would be no different from one of the demons that you may try to work with, or the spirits from your African traditional religion. But you truly know what it is if you had that light of self-knowledge. So when you're striving for light, you're striving for self-knowledge. All knowledge is self-knowledge. That is the basis of any epistemology that I'm dealing with. Knowing the knower is the basis of all knowledge. So as I wrap this up, like I said, I would love for you to start contemplating self, which is a synonym for existence. That's what makes me one and the same with everything else, is that it exists. I exist, you exist, that exists, it exists. And because of that, we're all existence. Before we get into any type of differences or conditions or states or configurations or shapes or molds or patterns, it's all existence. And that's what you want to have light of. So has your time been well spent here? Have you been striving for that self-knowledge? Hey, I'm not here to judge you or evaluate you. You'll know. You know. If you haven't. And that's my highest good. So again, this is Achad with the Wholography channel. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. You know what I'm saying? And don't forget again to get that book, Wholography, where I explain all this in more detail and you get more out of it. You get more knowledge, more information. Don't fail to look into my website where you can get your birth chart done, which is a tool of self-knowledge. Definitely want to. That's the only reason I deal with astrology, is for it being a tool to help me get more light of existence in myself. And I offer that service to you. Just go to my website, holographer.com. Should be in the link in this video. There's my Patreon, where you get way more esoteric and occult information on my Patreon. You just sign up for a monthly fee. I do counselings. I do consultations to help you out. And that's it. 360 degrees of self-knowledge. What brighter light can you